Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. Hey everyone. Before we get started with the show, I'm excited to announce two things. First is that my book, Marketing Automation Unleashed, is now live on Amazon. So go get it. The second thing is we have a new sponsor, Qualified.com. I'm going to tell you about them in the next couple seconds here, and also how you can get a free copy of my book thanks to them. So who are these people? Well, Qualified is the #1 live chat and chatbot platform for Salesforce and Pardot. Sales reps can have real-time, personalized conversations with who? Your hottest website visitors. So I want you to know, I don't just partner with anyone. I genuinely love these guys. And the platform, we use it at my company. Our sales team loves it. We've closed a lot of deals based on it, had a lot of great conversations with prospects too. So, a lot of marketing these days is what? Hurry up and wait, right? Fill out this form. And then if we pass you over to sales, maybe you'll swap 6 emails with them to find a good time to talk. But what if a prospect is doing research right now and they would chat now? Why not give them the opportunity? So the best part is your company actually decides what leads are worth a live chat. There's a lot of noise out there. You don't want to talk to everyone. So Qualified actually connects to Salesforce and Pardot, and it's able to pull in lead and contact information so you can specifically know if you're talking to a VIP, a VP, a decision maker. It's really kind of like magic. Now, if you don't know who someone is, well, what happens then, Casey? Well, that's when the bots come in handy. Chat bots can then ask questions to further qualify a lead, find out if maybe this is someone you do want to talk to. And they can book meetings while your sales team is out. And they can wake up the next morning with a bunch of meetings on their calendar. Now, here's the promo. If you are a company that wants to give your sales team this ability, right, to be able to talk to decision makers right when they're on your website, do this. Go to qualified.com and start a chat, right? They use their own tool, of course. Start a chat. Tell them that Casey sent you. If you have Salesforce Pardot, when you schedule and then do a demo, they will send you a free copy of my book, Marketing Automation Unleashed. Not bad, right? Well, it's only while supplies last. So hop on this thing today. And that's it for sponsors. Let's get to the show.
Yeah, now we're live recording. I am here in the Studio B basement coronavirus shelter here in my home office. Man, there's no windows in here, so if I go a little crazy, you all know why. But let me introduce my guest. We're going to have so much fun today. We're going to have a blast. We're going to learn. We're going to talk marketing strategy. We're going to talk about Paris, France, and dancing. She is a marketing leader, over 20 years of experience across both B2B and B2C. Corporate side, the communication side, she's a builder, she's a dancer, a collector of experiences too. And she thrives on change, which is cool because we have a lot of changes going on right now. And also at the same time, not so many when we're all stuck in home. Agency experience, large and small. Her specialties include marketing and sales alignment, cross-channel communications planning. I need to learn about that. Training and development. The CMO of Mediafly, Isabelle Papoulias. Welcome to the show.
Hey, hi, Casey. Thank you for having me. Speaking of being stuck at home, I'm welcoming you from my stuck at home Chicago 1-bedroom.
All right. Well, 1 bedroom and wow. So is this like the first human contact you've had in a couple weeks?
Yes, I have been waiting for this podcast for weeks. Thank you.
As have
Finally.
I. Finally, someone is talking to me. You're no longer in isolation. You're not in the tank anymore. You're finally free. So this is our marketing leadership series, talking to senior level marketers, understanding what strategies they're looking at, the way they approach things, and getting some people to call out some bullshit and just say what's real here in the marketing world. So I want to pass you this. It's imaginary Thor's hammer because the real one is back in my office. Take this hammer here, and there you go. You got it? Oh, wow. You picked that up.
Yeah, it's heavy.
One hand, I think, with that one. That's impressive. Smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception, and just set the record straight.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Let's set the record straight. Okay. First thing that pisses me off, first myth. The CMO role is just about marketing, and marketing is not that important, and let's just get rid of CMOs and because we don't need them anymore, right? So this is about the narrative and the noise around how many companies are eliminating the CMO role.
It was like McDonald's did that, or there's a bunch of them, right? They did.
Yeah, some of the big ones. And I mean, to me, I get why this conversation is happening, but it's misrepresented in the sense that, to me, they're not doing without the CMO role. They're just reinventing it. They're calling it something else. And the reason for that is for so many CMOs, myself included, the role is so much bigger than marketing. I mean, yes, there's the ing in marketing, right? The ing, which is the marketing strategy and execution.
Right.
I feel like I do marketing every day. I feel like I do a lot more. So
wait, so you're the CMO and you don't do marketing every day? What do you do?
Well,
is it Sudoku or?
Let's see. No, not really. But it's. I do go-to-market strategy. I run the business development team. I run the sales enablement team. I run the solutions engineers.
Really? You do the solutions engineers too?
Yeah, I know, which is a bit unusual. So
what's sales doing? Do they do anything anymore if you're doing
sales? Oh, they do a lot. Sales is, sales and marketing are merging, basically. We're kind of one at this point, at least at Mediafly. We're calling it integration, not alignment.
I like that.
I recognize that, look, it also depends on the size of the company and the needs of the organization, right? So some CMOs will be much more focused on marketing strategy and execution, but the reality is many others have enterprise-wide responsibilities, all the way to product innovation. So I think what's happening is because selling has become so hard, especially in the B2B space, marketing is constantly evolving, and as a result, we're cutting it into pieces and creating new roles out of the CMO role. Is my take on the whole thing.
Right.
So the other myth.
Well, hold on for a second. Yeah. With that, I looked it up because I think I was like, oh, was it McDonald's? No, it was actually Coca-Cola. They got rid of it, and it was something like they got rid of it. I was looking it up back in 2017, which is 3 years ago now. Jeez, I feel like I'm old. And apparently they're bringing it back. They had gotten rid of it to be the chief growth officer. Okay, they're just changing the word. But then that chief growth officer is leaving. He's retiring. So they're bringing back the CMO role. Like, okay, you're right. We're just kind of playing name games.
I mean, it's the same thing. We're all marketing is in charge of growth. I mean, our goal is growth, right? So it's about finding markets and growing existing ones. And so call it chief growth officer, call it CMO, call it whatever you want. It still goes back to the CMO's job is way bigger than just marketing strategy and execution.
Right. Yeah. So, and you mentioned like, what are they focused on? And one of the things you described is sometimes CMOs have product innovation in their pocket. And it reminds me of back in the day, marketing was the ones that talked to customers. And maybe all we did was focus groups and other things, but at least we had an ear to the ground and we could better inform product, because product wasn't so outgoing and out there. They were kind of back in their lab creating their widgets, and we were kind of the people who could interface with them and then go over and kind of tell them what we've learned and help out with product.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we used to call a customer-centric organization, right? So it's marketing should have their finger on the pulse of the customer and the trends and how their buying behaviors are changing and what their needs are to inform product innovation. And it's true that I think it's quite possible and real that, especially in the tech industry, it's easy to fall in the trap of let's just innovate for the sake of innovation because of what we want to do, as opposed to what we think the customers really need, right? I mean, so that's something to watch out for.
Yeah, it's like what we want. Like, I think I would like, sometimes, I'm guilty of this. I pretend like I for sure know what our customer's thinking. Maybe I was our customer 5 years ago or 10 years ago, actually, but it's not always the case. And that can be tricky. Like saying, oh, I'm selling to marketers. You might think it's easier if you are a marketer, but at the same time, you may not be that customer profile anymore, and you still got to stay connected to them.
Exactly. And I don't think that's a new idea, right? I mean, the fact that marketing should be, should have the best understanding of the customer than anyone else in the organization. And that is part of our responsibility.
Do you think marketing should?
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny though, because up until recently, when I've just been talking to some really smart people like yourself around learning more about your customer, I, as a marketer, went through a lot of my career in marketing never interfacing with customers. I think we get kind of wrapped up in the tech. We're like, okay, I'm an AdWords marketer, I'm a SEO person, or just doing email campaigns. And where's the focus on like getting out and learning and absorbing things from your actual customers? I don't know why it's not so hot.
Yeah, and it's interesting you're talking about this, because we're actually going through this at Mediafly now and rolling out a customer marketing plan. And I mean, the customers are, again, we talk about the ideal customer profile, right?
Yeah, how do you establish that?
It's our customers, right? So you want to get those insights from your customer base to go get new customers.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So there's all these, it's such a rich territory, for marketers to be involved directly with customers and understand those relationships and what works, what doesn't, what made them buy in the first place, what made them leave you if they left you, and so on. So
yeah, just opening that dialogue. Yeah, I don't know. If we used to be in the Mad Men days, pouring drinks and interfacing with customers and smoking Lucky Strike, in the boardroom and dialoguing in focus groups, how did we become so nerdy where we're kind of just we're all shut-ins pre-quarantine, not talking to our customers? To me, it's like, it's so neat to like, really, they said that, and then the vocab they use, the words they use. Yeah. Oh my gosh, they kept saying the word fractional, or they kept saying this word. Okay, I guess we're gonna adopt their language and their vocabulary.
Well, it's exactly right. So we're making assumptions. It's sort of like, are we communicating to prospects the right way,
right,
or not? And then you have one-on-one interviews with your customers, and you find new language because that's their language, and you realize that maybe the way you've been speaking to prospects is not quite the right way.
Right.
So and no, unfortunately, I missed the Mad Men era and the 3-hour lunches and martinis and cigars. Yeah,
of course you did. Yeah. Were you even around in the 80s, or are you a 90s child? Like, come on. Of course.
I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
I said 20 years of marketing experience. I'm like, what? You start when you were 4? Like, I don't understand this.
Oh, come on.
Hey, most people are listening to this. So, my name's Casey. I'm 150 pounds, all muscle. Don't go look at YouTube. Hey, you mentioned the customer marketing planning that you're doing. Can you share more about like what kind of things you're doing with that, and what's sort of the overall strategy?
Yes. I mean, so it really, there's what we've developed is really the ideal customer marketing plan. And of course, we're not going to do everything, but we're going to kind of pick the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And the first phase of the plan is really, I would say is more on cross-sell, upsell opportunities, right? Like, how do we support those initiatives, and with things like webinars to customers and newsletters and what I call enterprise hackathons. So having sort of like mini events within an existing customer with essentially folks from other lines of business that are not customers yet, right? So trying to grow our relationship within other lines of business. So kind of showcasing our product and services and having an event, at what they are, all the way to turning our customers into advocates with things like a customer advisory board, for example.
Ooh, tell me about that. How do you make a customer advisory board? Because that sounds really cool, and I've never done that.
So, I haven't built one yet.
Yeah.
So this will be my first.
Okay.
But the way we're going about it is, and this is best practice, right? So it's not necessarily something that we invented, but is you look at your happiest, most successful customers, really. You start that way, right?
Okay.
Because those are the ones that will be most likely to want to be involved at that level. Because a customer advisory board will be a lot more engaged. They'll be able to vet a lot of what you're doing. They'll have input into the product roadmap.
Right.
We talked about innovation earlier. So you really want to pick your best, biggest fans within your customer base to do it.
Get them all together. They may love meeting each other too.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. But within that, it's also important to have diversity.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have all the Fortune 500s in like CPG, right? Well, that too, but I didn't mean, yes, absolutely. I second that. But I mean, you don't want to have your 5 biggest customers in CPG. I mean, you just want to have a variety of industries, variety of company sizes, roles, right? So we sell to both marketing as well as sales. And, I wouldn't want to have an advisory board that's all marketing leads. I'd like to have sales represented as well. So I think a diversity is important too.
Interesting. Do you think that works for a service business as well, or is it more around that product innovation?
That's a great question. I don't see why it wouldn't work for a service business. I've heard of it more, for product and especially technology, but that's also my environment.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I see no reason why.
I mean, it's an interesting thought, right? Like, what other services could we provide, and kind of helps you organically develop more service offerings. I don't know. Maybe it works just the same.
I mean, whatever it is that whatever service product you're providing, right? If you're selling something, and you have a right? I mean, and you have a pretty large customer base, it behooves you to build those relationships with your customers and turn them into advocates.
Right.
So
it can't hurt, right? Can't hurt to listen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe send them some swag as a thank you.
And it takes you out of your ivory tower of the back to the messaging and some of the things we talked about earlier. Like don't assume you know everything.
Right. For sure. Any way you can, get that information other than just making up in your head. Works. I want to take you back to that first myth. I know you got a couple other myths to smash, and we're gonna smash all day here. So the question was talking about, some CMOs do focus on just pure marketing operations, but then we brought up this product innovation, the customer marketing, ideal customer planning. What do you think a CMO, can you focus, or is the whole point not to focus? And what are the different things you're kind of thinking about, whether you're focused on them or not?
Wow. That's a great question. And I'm going to say, and this is me because I consider myself a generalist. So I'm going to answer the question 2 ways.
Okay.
You shouldn't focus in the sense that your responsibilities are very broad and wide. Right. So there's a lot you need to do across different areas, and oh, by the way, you personally won't be the subject matter expert in all these areas. I mean, it's not possible. I think all of us, all CMOs, come from a certain background, so we're subject matter experts in some areas versus others. But the reality is, in that role, the way I've experienced this is it's very much a generalist role, right? So surround yourself, build a team of subject matter experts in their individual pillars or silos or whatever you want to call it. But you will be bouncing around from area to area. That said, you should have a focus, as in you should have a single-minded focus on your objectives, what success looks like, what you're being measured on, and what the priorities are at any given time to meet those objectives. So And I think that's probably one of the challenges, is because the role of the CMO is so broad, is making sure that through all this, the broadness of it and the noise, you really, really keep your eye on the objectives at the end of the day,
Right.
you know, and what priorities do you focus on and do you deploy against that will meet those objectives?
Right.
Because one thing about marketing is, as we all know, for better or worse, everybody has ideas. You know,
Yeah.
I think every CMO can agree with this. We all get, people come to us all day with, let's do this and let's do that and so for me, the filter is always I think great ideas can come from everywhere, but the filter is always, does this serve our growth objectives?
Yeah.
You know, and in order to filter out or what's not true, what's
That's
not
a
really
great
a priority.
filter. Yeah.
So
I have a cool idea. Okay. Cool idea. Is this going to help serve, or maybe it will, but like, how is this going to help the overall mission?
Yeah.
And what is the overall mission? What is the
exactly right? And
Yeah.
so as far as the overall mission, and the second part of my answer, which was, you still have to be focused on what does success look like and how is it being measured? What's the end goal? You know, that's part of the planning process. And so we plan quarterly at Mediafly across the board, not just marketing. And so the team is very clear, as is the rest of the organization, of what are their marketing priorities that we are focused on a given quarter to meet the overarching corporate objectives, right? And that helps with that focus.
No,
and you shouldn't have 25 objectives. You shouldn't have 25 priorities, by the way.
I was gonna say, okay, not 25 goals. You know, the challenging follow-up question I have to that is, it seems like broad, and it seems like goals are like the complete opposite. Because like a goal is like a SMART goal, 25, deals or leads or whatever you might set those goals to be. And we can talk about what those should be, but broad is like, you're looking at everything. So how do you look at everything? I guess it all just has to roll up to the goal. Is that the case? Or
it has to roll up to goals. I mean, really, the way I look at it is, more than anything, is identify the problem areas or the gaps. Right? So what are we, for example, I know that, and I feel that our if you think about the demand engine, right? So of course, being a CMO at a B2B startup in a high growth phase, demand is a big priority. It's always about brand and demand tends to take priority. Our digital demand gen engine, as I call it, is working really, really well.
Okay.
Right? So we so inbounds, pulling leads into the top of the funnel. We put a lot of hard work over the last year, and I feel like we're in a really good place with that. Outbound, which is the other piece of the demand gen engine, and field, not so much, right? So we haven't cracked the code on those two. So I know that that's, in order to hit my growth targets, as stated by the CEO, right, for the corporation, and marketing's contribution to that, I know these are two areas that I still need to address. Right. So that's just to give you a very kind of high level example.
No, I get it, right? No, I like that. That helps clarify, because if you're looking at the two different things, like I have specific goals and I have this huge tract of land to look at, you're looking specifically, across that board, are there any gaps that I can plug that might, make the ride smoother, toward those goals? Do you set lead goals or revenue goals, at Mediafly, and what's the best? Do you have one goal you look at? Or is there a couple? You said it's not 25. I'm with you on that. What's your dream set of goals, the KPIs you look at?
Well, the KPIs, so the KPIs are really pipeline generation and revenue. So it's the same as a sales team, right? Which that goes back to, I know we haven't talked about this yet, the buzzword of sales and marketing alignment. We all have the same goals in the end. I mean, how we work towards the goal is a little different, because obviously marketing doesn't actively close deals. But
Right.
yeah, those are the marketing goals. It's we have a quarterly target for pipeline generation, and for revenue that we have to hit.
And
So,
and do you get into those sparring matches where you say, well, we created this pipe or you created this pipe?
so not anymore. We used to.
Yeah.
We used to, when our data was one big mess, and
Right.
and there was no alignment, and marketing was new, and even there were changes on the sales side, but not anymore. It's very
Okay.
clearly, we know what is marketing sourced, and we know what is marketing influenced, and we know what is sourced by sales and other parts of the organization as well, like our alliances, which is our channel group. So we've made a lot of progress there. It wasn't always like that, I'll be honest, but no, that's it's not. I wouldn't say that's much of an issue for us at this point.
Got it. Was it technology that helped you solve that then? Was it just being able to track and show ware it came from? Did that just solve the issue?
Yes, it was a combination of technology and human interaction.
Yeah.
And they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, right? Technology is not the silver bullet.
Right.
Technology, scrubbing the data, making sure that our CRM was constantly updated the right way by all involved.
Yeah.
And then the human piece is really building trust across the different teams, understanding that it's a team sport.
Yeah.
Right. And that we're better working together than working separately.
Yeah. It's got
and we all sink or swim together is what I how I call it. At the end of the day, it's we all want to build pipeline and generate more revenue, and I want to say I kind of don't care where it's coming from. I mean, yes, we have our targets by team, but at the end of the day, we want the company to do well.
Right. So, if you're doing well, if you're swimming together and it's working, then it's working. But I guess sometimes the challenge could be if it's not working yet, do you have companies where sales is pointing to marketing and marketing is pointing to sales, and I guess you find out more about each other when it's not going well.
Exactly. And we're past that.
Cool.
And that to me has to do with leadership. So and that's again the human element, right? And I talked about sales and marketing alignment before, and we talk a lot about, when we talk about sales and marketing alignment, we talk a lot about technology and processes and sales processes and marketing processes, and it's all good and it's all important. But for me, the very, very first step to that, the first thing that needs to be in place are two leaders that want to align. Right. And neither one of us should be sitting in our ivory tower thinking that we know better than the other. Right. And if I feel like I know better than you and you don't have anything to bring to the table, that is not, or vice versa, that will not be a good working relationship.
Right.
So to me, that's truly the most important thing. Again, embracing the fact that it's a team sport. So it's the mindset more than anything, the starting mindset. And that has to be from the sales leadership and from marketing leadership, and it trickles all the way down.
And if you're aligned on that,
you set the tone.
Set
all the technology in the world and the processes in the world are not going to help us if we're not embracing that mindset to begin with. I feel very, very strongly about this.
It seems like one of those points that just makes sense. I know you were wanting to jump into another myth and smash that. What else is on your mind? Anything else driving you crazy? Because I know.
We were talking about technology. So I talked about technology and processes, and this is the technology is the silver bullet and the solution to everything. So I might get a call from my CEO after this, and he might decide to fire me because he's going to be like, "What? You work for a tech company?"
Wait, after he hears the podcast,
you should be pitching technology.
I'm kidding.
I'm joking, but
what's his name? Want to give him a shout out?
Hi, Carson Conant.
Carson, woo! That's
our
CEO
fearless,
of the world right there.
Our fearless leader. No, but I recognize the irony of a tech CMO saying that technology is not a silver bullet. But we actually talk to our clients about this, right? It's technology is there to enhance humans, right? So if you don't have the people resources and the mindset in place, and then the human processes in place, don't get technology. Technology is there to scale that and make it even better.
Right.
And technology takes people resources to deploy, right?
Right.
And and manage. So what we tell our clients is, we're in the sales enablement space. Is let's talk about what your needs are, what your long-term sales enablement needs are. What do you want your sales enablement journey to be?
Right.
And don't get all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Because you may not need them.
Yeah.
Right. So so don't get the whatever, the Maserati. What you need is a Kia. And no offense to those car brands, but
that's a good comparison. I've had a Kia before.
And if you're
get the job done.
Yeah, exactly, right. And if you don't quite know how to drive yet, or you don't have your license, or you have it but it's new, maybe you shouldn't buy a car quite yet, right? So and I think because for those of us who are in the tech universe, I feel like we're almost programmed to jump into technology as a solution to everything.
Right.
I was actually having a conversation with a company that I was considering for something recently, and I was very excited about it. It was a technology platform, and I love what they do, and I was ready to buy, and then I don't know what
they were pitching you. They were trying to sell to you.
They were pitching me, but I reached out to them. So I genuinely had a need. And I got really excited about what they had to offer. And then the weekend came, and I realized, you know what? I can do this without technology. Like, why am I spending why will invest the money, but more than anything, the people resources?
What kind of a service? I mean, you don't know how to out the company, but like, were you able to, it was just some kind of marketing thing that you just figured out?
Yeah, it's a kind of marketing thing, and there is a simpler, call it like a more traditional way to do it without technology yet. So I will get to that platform eventually. So it's not a matter of if, it's more a matter of when.
Is that what you say to all your sales reps?
But I realized that we weren't there yet, because we hadn't done our own kind of test and learns and, sort of perfected our process to then scale it with technology. Totally.
I had a similar experience with that. It was PPC software. This was back when I was like a little marketing manager, and I owned the AdWords, and there's a software called Clickable. I don't know if it's still around, but it had really good user interface, like cute, like you're playing a video game on a starship. Like you're like, ooh, and it's supposed to have like thinking to it and process, and would tell you, hey, this is a bad campaign, this is a good campaign, hurrah, and turn it into like child's play to do AdWords. Well, anyone that knows AdWords is a little more complicated than that. I mean, it's simple but complicated. You have to actually know what they're searching for and give them some good value. And an app is not going to solve your woes. If your campaigns are just terrible to start with, then it's not going to magically fix everything, but I thought it might, and so I bought that thing thinking fully that it would just change all our campaigns. And actually what changed it was the consultant that we had to help us set it up. That's who, really helped us clean everything up and change stuff, because it was the strategy more than the technology.
Yeah, exactly. And the smart technology providers out there, they get that.
Yeah.
And they don't try to pitch you and sell you if it's on the right time for you. And I have a couple of examples of that, or of recent interactions with a big platform, very well-known company that we were considering. And to their credit, we started the process of looking into it and had several meetings, and when we said to them, this doesn't feel like quite the right time, like we don't have our shit together on our end, right? Totally. To make the most out of your technology, they said the same thing. And it's another one of those, like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? But they get it, and I respected that.
I do too. That's refreshing, because I've seen a lot of the opposite, where it's the end of the quarter and people end up with stuff that they have no business having. And like a nonprofit, they got saddled with Eloqua, like a tiny little nonprofit. Like, you don't need, get out of here. Like, stop doing that. Yeah, that's refreshing. And you mentioned earlier it was Carson or whatnot and yourself, and tech is not the silver bullet. How refreshing is that to have someone actually tell you trust someone instantly when they do things like that?
Well, that's exactly right. You really do. And I'll tell you, the vendor that I was referring to, the big name company that,
you don't want to give them a shout out? You want to tell them how great they are? How refreshing?
Well, no, I won't.
No, okay.
And you trust them more. Like, there's no question that we'll go back to them. Like, when we're ready, those are the folks we're going to buy from.
Yeah. It's tough though, because I know you got to close deals for the end of the quarter, and sometimes sales can be laser focused on who's buying now. If you're not buying now, I don't want to talk to you. But it's cool to have a company that cares like that. It's really cool. Well, by the way, you mentioned Maserati. I had a chance to drive a Lamborghini one time.
Oh, wow.
And
I have not.
It was one of these like.
You're special.
Well, no, it's not mine.
Whose was it? I need to hear this.
What do you? It's one of those things where it's like, Groupon. That's what it was. It was like a Groupon where, I got it for a gift for Christmas, where you go show up at this racetrack.
Oh yeah.
It's like a closed course, and they let you borrow their Lambo. But you know what was funny? Before you can even touch the thing or get near it, there's all these insurances you can get, and they try to sell you like 12 of them. One is like cone damage. If you run over a cone and it does anything whatsoever to the body, you might be out like 30 grand. Or you can spend $20 on the cone insurance, right? And so there's this whole sales pitch. Or if you don't shift properly, and if you try to abuse the engine and you burn out the transmission or anything, that could be like 150 grand. Like, they're scaring you. And so I definitely got the cone insurance. I didn't need it. I did fine. But you get in there, and it's not the, most people can't even drive standard. So I usually drive standard Jeep, so I'm good with that. But it's like pedal shifters. People have never seen that before. That you shift on the steering wheel and go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 with the clutch is like in the wheel, like a race car, which is cool, but no one usually knows how to drive that. And you can see how people might burn out the engine.
This isn't a Lamborghini, call it like a regular Lamborghini. This is not a race car per se. It's just the regular model.
Yeah, I guess if I could say a regular Lambo. Yeah, it was just but it was green too, which is neat. That kind of green weird color, like alien color. Yeah, and so I was the instructor that's in there with you. They shift for you until you figure out how to do it, because they're just like. So to your point, like, unless you've got that pro in there, like, I would either wreck that, or the learning curve would be a little bit weird for me to figure out how to drive that. Same thing with tech, right? Maybe the Kia's fine to get me to work right now. I'm not driving on a racetrack. What do you actually need? And this person that sells you the right car, not just the most impressive one, that's what works. Get the fun car, but also get one that fits your use case.
Yeah, but what happens sometimes, surprisingly, I find that companies don't know their use case. They actually don't know. They haven't thought about what do I need today? What do I need longer term? And who's the best company for me to partner with that will give me meet today's needs as well as long-term needs, right?
Right.
So that's that's something that we
just they get sucked into the sales cycle of some tech company and then end up buying or not buying based on sales conversation without.
That's why I don't think you can have we actually build advisory services for that reason, because we realized that we needed to guide our prospects through the process of understanding, again, what do they want their sales enablement journey to be over time, right? And how do you build a solution that meets those needs so that they don't have to change halfway through or end up with the wrong technology or whatnot. And it's not as simple as just throw the technology at them and then walk away.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly not like that. Huh. Well, that's another good myth. Anything else up your sleeves to smash?
No, I think that's
We got the good ones out.
that's a lot for today, don't you think?
It is a lot for today. Well, we talk about a lot of that stuff. Really, I'm just curious. Who are you? Like, can you take us back to like little Isabelle days? And you know, what's it like? Did you always know you're going to go into marketing and be a CMO, or
Oh my God, hell no, I had no idea. I mean, no. If you had told me things would have worked out that way many decades ago, I would have told you were completely crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I always liked marketing. In school, I liked marketing courses and advertising, especially. That's how I ended up in advertising. But no, I.
Where did you grow up though? Like where?
So I grew up born and raised in Greece from a Greek father and a French Greek mother. So I was in a bilingual, bicultural.
I mean, those are two very strong cultures too. So how does that work? How do you bring two very strong languages and cultures and?
Well, it works really well. One thing that helped or played a big role is my parents put me in the French school in Athens instead of a Greek school, and because I was a French citizen through my mother, so I was able to attend that school free of charge. And since they felt like the Greek school system was really bad at the time, they opted for the French one. And so I found myself, that was, I think the most significant moment in my life really is that was going to that school, because it was essentially an international school.
Okay.
So there were folks from not just French kids there, and it was also a mix of like socioeconomic groups.
Yeah.
They were the middle class kids like me who were essentially going to a free school, and then you had sons and daughters of like diplomats who were going there, and for them it was essentially a private school. They had to pay tuition because they weren't French.
Right.
And so I think it was a great, useful early exposure to different cultures and people from different socioeconomic groups, right? And in addition to that, because we were a foreign school, within Greece, we had a lot of exchanges with the other expat schools, right? So we had exchanges with the German school and the American school and the British school. So I was already coming from a bicultural home, speaking two languages, and then I got exposed to even more cultures.
Yeah.
And so this comfort level and with multiple cultures and languages, as well as this notion of, hey, the world is my oyster, and it's like global citizens, that whole thing.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have those words back then, but I think it just became an obvious thing for me, right? So when I moved to France to go to school, to university, and then from France I enrolled in a exchange program between the City University of Paris and the City University of New York. It was a pilot program. I found myself in New York at 19, arriving and not knowing anyone, and it was like, whatever, I'm here, hi.
Wow.
Because I had this, I don't know, comfort level with cultures and and languages. I mean, by then I spoke 4 languages because I had also learned Spanish. So
French, Greek, English, and Spanish. Wow. Do you still kind of have all of those at the ready?
Yeah, it's probably more like 3.5 languages at this point. Spanish is, I understand it fully, but since I don't use it so much, I can have a conversation that's going to be a little broken.
That's amazing. I could see how you could have, if you had gone to the Greek school, you would have been kind of more focused locally, like you like you were Greek. But because you went to this expat type school, it kind of, you were able to claim more of your French heritage that way.
Yeah.
And you could obviously still get the Greek at home, but that made you like, well, I'm visiting here. I'm visiting everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if I would have ended up in New York had it not been for that school. I don't know if my mindset would have been the right mindset.
You might still be in Greece right now,
Yeah.
So you got to New York, you're 19. Are you,
so it's what do they say, like bright lights, big city, it definitely felt that way. I finished university there. I was a marketing major. So I gravitated.
What made you do that? Like, did you just pick it out of a hat, or did you get a sense that?
I was a communications major in Paris already.
Okay.
Which was broader than marketing. It was marketing, but also like film and video, so communications in a broader sense.
Got it.
And I felt like I was gravitating more towards the marketing courses. So when I moved to New York, I continued in marketing, and then when I graduated, I was, I actually, was also dancing at the time. So I've been dancing since I was 7 years old. My parents put me in a ballet class at 7, which was another big pivotal moment in my life, for sure, and that dance has stayed with me until now. So I was kind of having what I call a professional hobby, dancing and doing some auditions and a few shows here and there. But at the same time, I got an internship in a market research firm, quantitative research.
Wow.
So that was my first, and that internship became a job. So, and that was kind of, I wouldn't say that was proactive. It just kind of happened.
It just happened.
And so that was my entry into the marketing professional world. And I left the research firm after 5 years because I wasn't crazy about numbers, and I wanted to see what companies did with the insights after they got them. Right. So, and then and in the back of my mind, I was always very interested in advertising.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to work for an agency, and that agency, I got sidetracked along the way, working for a dance company, the Parsons Dance Company in New York City, because I had a dance bug too. So I said, why don't I combine marketing and my love of dance? So let me do marketing for a dance company and see what that's like.
Wow.
That was fun, and I'm glad I did it. Needless to say, the nonprofit world in the arts in the US is a little challenging.
It is a little challenging.
So I did that for a year, and then I moved over to the agency side, and that was that was most of my career for the next.
I gotta imagine, having talked to you, working at a quantitative, right, is what you said?
Yeah.
So like all about the numbers research firm would have been challenging, interesting in that it's a good basis to be exposed to the numbers, but at the same time, I could see being curious to know what are the actual words people are using, not just what we're kind of like, what category we're putting them into for a number, but like what are the actual qualitative insights, or the objective things people are saying beyond the numbers.
So are you asking me that, or
I wonder if you're like, okay, I see that the numbers, but you almost more interested in what's the story behind it.
Well, that's exactly my point. That's what I wanted to see, because we would deliver, I would, run the research and getting the interviews done and get the data in and do the analysis and provide the report to the client, like a presentation of like, so this is, we interviewed, 300 people, and this was a questionnaire, and this is what we see, this is what they said, basically, right? And then you kind of slice the data however way the client wants it. But and then we would deliver that. So we'd have the meeting, big presentation, ta-da, here are all the insights, and then we would walk away. And I actually wanted to see, well, how does this segmentation analysis actually impact your marketing plan? Like, what are you doing with it?
Right.
Are you developing new products? Are you developing new ad campaigns?
Right.
Are you changing your messaging?
Right.
So that was the side that I wanted to see. And of course, going agency side, you get to do that for your clients.
Yeah.
Right. And then fast forward to later in life, like today, when you go on the brand side, then you do it for yourself, the company you're with. So,
it's definitely fun to do both, try different approaches and views, and
so there's always been constant change in my life. It's kind of, I would say that's the theme. I thrive on change. So I know you joked at the beginning about the COVID virus and that change, but it's been change, change from country to country, change from one industry to the other, right? So from quantitative research to dance to agencies from small agencies to really big agencies, from advertising agencies to media agencies, and then from US-based roles to global roles mostly, and then now, Mediafly. So I've always proactively looked for evolution.
Interesting.
I say that my comfort level is my comfort is discomfort. If I'm comfortable, then I know that it's not enough for me, and I'm not learning. I'm not motivated enough, and so I am always looking for the next thing, right? What's the next thing I want to learn? What is the next thing I want to do to challenge myself? And so whenever I have the role, whatever role I'm in,
yep.
Yes, of course I'm going to fulfill my role, but then I'm looking for other opportunities outside of that.
Right.
And that's what has always got me to the next level or the next job, right? And I mean, even if Mediafly is a perfect example, we started by talking about the fact that I'm managing other teams beyond marketing. And that's because I'm out there looking for other problems to solve beyond marketing.
Right, you're looking for different problems to solve, right? You don't just solve one problem and then settle down. Well, marketing's doing fine. Everything else is jacked up, but marketing's doing fine. So I'm just going to relax. No, you're like, well, what else can I improve? What can I change? That's cool. That's very cool. You mentioned that, that some of the strategies that really helped you were being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and proactively looking for change. If I were to offer you the opportunity, because I may or may not have a time machine here in New Hampshire. If I have a time machine, you can use it after this COVID thing's all done. And you can go back and visit yourself after you graduate university, or it could be anywhere in your career. What advice would you give yourself, knowing all the things you've experienced and all the places you've been? What kind of things would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself, trust yourself more. Trust yourself more. You know more than you think. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, I'm going to get a little bit into the gender conversation here.
Sure.
We know, from data, right, that women tend to underestimate themselves, underestimate their abilities. Men tend to overestimate their abilities, right?
Interesting.
And I mean, that's not me saying that. That's, there's been plenty written, about this. And I came from a Mediterranean country, right? I came from call it like a traditional household where dad was working, mom was a housewife.
Right.
Mom was in a supporting role. She was the agreeable one, so, and this is not an accusation on my mother. It's just saying it's the culture, like it's the Mediterranean culture. And and it wasn't a professional environment. I mean, it wasn't until I came to the US that I saw women, in corporate roles where the responsibility and all that. And it's kind of like this, what do they say? See her to want to be her.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? And that took a while because my female role models didn't have, university degrees. I was the first one to go to school.
Right.
Didn't have careers, and I didn't have women within my immediate environment to look up to like this, right? And so it took a while to immerse myself in that environment in the US and to feel like, hey, I can do that. I can do this too.
Right.
And despite that, I mean, this is the thing. Despite that, somehow because of I was still a risk taker and I pushed for change and I took on bigger and bigger roles. So it still worked out well. It's not, I'm not saying it didn't work out well, but I don't think, I wish the confidence and the trust in myself had been there sooner, but in hindsight, clearly it was there because I did push through boundaries and I took risks. But I still, I feel like there was an emotional piece that was missing, and I feel like if I had someone to say, hey, you speak up in a meeting.
Right.
It's okay.
And like
at a younger age, not later when you gain more confidence, you have more successes behind you, and then you get more. But earlier on in my career, that would have been a good thing.
I totally saw it when you were describing like a role model in your immediate family or just someone close in the community that you can look up to. And I think to your point, you did have the courage. You were trailblazing, right? You were just finding the path, but maybe you didn't have like the lighthouse or the light in the distance.
Exactly.
You're just trying to figure it out instead of
I
knowing,
completely
I want to be
figured
heard.
out. I figured it out completely by myself.
Right.
100%. I like how you just described that. And I feel like maybe if I had, you know, more guidance from the very beginning, and then of course later on you pick up mentors and sponsors and whatnot, but you know, maybe I would have gotten along the path more quickly.
Sure.
That makes sense.
And whether or not you would have listened at that age to them, you would have at least seen them and been like, I don't know. And I wonder, do you go back and visit family in Greece? And
yes, of course, my family's still there.
I wonder if you were that person for some of the girls in your family. You know, I wonder if they see you and you're like, wow, she's a CMO in Chicago.
They do. I mean, you know, that's, yes, you know, there's, and it's good. I mean, it's good to be the role model, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, it's, you know, and I'm the typical immigrant story,
sure.
Right? So first, coming from, at the time it was a developing country. I mean, Greece is now, you know, part of the EU and we're doing better, but coming from a Mediterranean country and being the first, nobody in my family had ever gone to university before, being the first one with a degree, all those firsts, right? So it is very much the perfect immigrant story in a way that I think only this country can
it's
do
amazing.
better than anyone.
What a story, you know, and you didn't have you didn't have the educational role models, the career ones, like, oh, I own the business or I'm a CMO or any of that, but they got you in that school where you started being exposed to other people and diplomat children and all sorts of things, and it just sort of started, you know, gave you the exposure, and then you just kind of took it and ran with it. I mean, you end up in New York and you're 19 and you're like, let's do this. That's really cool.
And you know, the New York thing is funny. I know that I just called my mother and I said, I'm going to New York.
What'd she say? Okay, you know.
She was worried.
Like freaking out. Like
she was worried. No, she wasn't freaking out completely because my parents were very supportive, and they, you know, my mother always says, "I raised you so you can fly on your own."
Oh wow!
Right. So.
Did she say that in French, or did she say that in English?
She says it in French, actually.
I imagine that would sound really
Greek
cool.
too, but she says it in French.
How do you say that in French?
Do you really want to hear it?
Yeah.
Je t'ai élevé pour que tu puisses voler de tes propres ailes. Vol de tes propres ailes.
It's like
fly on your own. Fly with your own wings is really the literal translation, and she still says this to this day. She's very proud of me.
Fly with your own wings.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's sweet.
She was giving you some of that courage behind the scenes. That's really cool.
Yeah, even despite the distance. I mean, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard for parents. You know, I'm very far away, and my mom is older now, and now that she's older, it's even harder for her.
Yeah.
But you, I was lucky. I mean, they supported me, they trusted me, and they believed in me. And you know, you get into your routine with your family. When, for those of us again who live very far away from them and are immigrants, and you get used to it. You do your once a year visits or your twice a year visits and your weekly phone calls. And if you miss that Sunday phone call, oh my God, what happened? You know, the phone rings 10 times, you know, mom is searching for you. So, you know, you have your routines, and it's a different kind of relationship. You know, it's not the same, you know, there's sacrifices for real.
Yeah, for sure.
Pros and cons to everything. So
have you done FaceTime or got her on Zoom?
So we just started.
Yeah.
We had done it a few times, but now given the COVID situation, I don't know, it just kind of, I wanted to do that more with her. Maybe because I'm doing more with others, and we started doing it. So our weekend calls are on WhatsApp now. So my sister, from my sister's phone and mine, and my mother loves it. She's like,
does
why?
The video too? Does she do the
video? Exactly. Yeah. She said to me, she's like, so I don't understand why. So how come we can do this now and we weren't doing it before? And I'm like, well, no, we could always do it before. We just weren't doing it, but the technology was always there.
Right.
She's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's continue to do this. And she gets really, also, I think she gets kind of distracted by the video and gets really excited into it. So, I mean, you know, we all have our issues with our parents. Most of us do. You know, there's good aspects of the relationship and bad aspects of the relationship. We have our conflict, right?
Sure.
And somehow, because of the excitement of the video, it's a fun conversation, as opposed to like, there's no complaining. We're not talking about, bad stuff and frustrations. It's just all fun because we get to see each other. So it's working.
It's something magic about that. Like when you think about being isolated and whatnot, I mean, so my company's completely remote. So we've always been remote. So it's kind of interesting now with everyone having to be remote. We've kind of been doing this for a while, but we've always done video calls internally, because otherwise, man, you just see the difference. Doing a phone call is one thing, but when you can see each other, especially on the regular basis, there'll be sometimes we get together for a company retreat once a year, everyone together. I'll see someone and be like, "Oh, great to see you again," and they're like, "We've actually never met. This is the first time we're meeting, but I feel like we've known each other for a while."
Yeah.
Because we see each other all the time.
It makes a big difference. But hey, we talked about technology. See, we love technology.
Yeah.
This is
it's not a
definitely
silver
a great
bullet. It's not going to fix your relationship with your parents, but
exactly.
Right. Hey, tell me about dance, because I know that was a big part of your life, and we talked more about marketing, but you started at 7, and it was ballet, and it was in Greece, and they had a ballet school?
Yeah, so it was ballet. It was in Greece. I loved it. I was really good at it somehow. And then I went from ballet to when I went to university in Paris, and I transitioned into modern. And then when I moved to New York, I transitioned into musical theater and jazz.
Oh, cool.
And it's New York, right? It's the mecca of dance. So and then later in life, so I was doing it more as a hobby, but very intense hobby. So I'm not sure which comes at the time, what came first in my life, whether it was work or dance, but they're pretty equal,
Probably
right?
dance.
So it's 50-50. It really is.
Okay.
So I mean, I was dancing almost every day, at night after work, taking classes, sometimes doing performances and things like that. And then later in my 30s, I got into partner dancing. So social dancing.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Ballroom or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
And I started with salsa in New York, and I got very serious with it. I actually joined a performance team, and again, we were doing events and performances, and I did that for almost like 10 years. And fast forward to later in Chicago, and then did other things. I do the Latin hustle, which is disco, back from 70s.
Right.
West Coast swing. So there's a few partner dances, but when I moved to Chicago, I discovered Kizomba, which is a African dance from Angola, which is in Southwest Africa. It's like tango.
How do you spell that? Kizomba?
Yeah, Kizomba. Not to be confused with Zumba.
I was saying, it sounds similar.
No. It's Kizomba. It's a partner dance.
Oh, okay.
And it's the best way I can describe it in plain language is it's like tango. So it's a walking dance. It's close embrace, right? You dance closely, and the man leads and the woman walks. And of course, the music is very different because it's African. It's very melodic. It's very percussion based.
Yeah.
And long story short, I got into it, and I got it so seriously that I'm teaching. I've been teaching for 5 years because my instructor, the one of the instructors I was taking lessons with, who is from Angola, so he's been dancing since he was since he can walk.
Right.
He asked me to teach with him, and so we teach in Chicago locally, and we also teach across the country at festivals on the weekends. So I call it my professional hobby. Yeah. And then through Kizomba, because it's an African dance, I ended up getting into West African traditional dances.
Okay.
And that's not something I teach. It's something I do for myself. And as a result of that, I've been back to West Africa twice already. I had been to Africa before for vacation safaris.
Wow, okay.
But now I've gone, the last few years I went to Senegal, and then I went to Guinea.
So no Tanzania yet?
No Tanzania yet. No, you'll have to tell me about this.
I will.
And I went there for dance intensives, right? So you go for like 2 or 3 weeks, and they beat the crap out of you basically for dancing 4 or 5 hours a day. And getting you to look better than you do today. Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's pretty amazing.
African dance, like it's so neat that you would start out with just a very, very traditional, European
ballet, right? Yeah.
right? And then you would transition and find different ways to express yourself. Salsa. You know what? Your dancing is very much like your schooling and your personality, your education. The different you're comfortable with different. You've been dancing different continents. You've got the Europe, you've got the U.S. and the modern and the South America with the Latin thing, and then also now Africa. What do you have left? You have Australia and you have Asia.
I've danced there too. I've been there. The most. So dance, that's an amazing thing about dance. Like it's a tribe. You find your tribe.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a Kizomba dancer and you're on vacation in Australia, you're going to find Kizomba dancers there. If you're
no kidding.
If you're a tango dancer, you're going to find tango dancers wherever you are. One of the best salsa dances I have ever had was in a hole-in-the-wall bar in the Peruvian Andes. I still remember that dance.
So it was
the guy that was leading me was amazing.
And you just bumped into this like world-class, amazing dancer.
Yeah, I think we looked it up, and we were in Cusco, which is kind of like the base for the folks who want to do the
Machu Picchu.
The Machu Picchu and stuff. And I think we looked it up, and we're like salsa in Cusco, and there was a salsa night, and we went. I was with my boyfriend at the time, and there were some great dancers. And it's the same thing with, pick your dance. Like I said, it's a tribe, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure it's like this for any it's like this for any hobby.
Right. Yeah, well, but I think there's something magical about the dance side too, though, because you get movement and music and social. It's one of those hobbies that brings you together with people.
That's exactly. I love that part, and I also love the fact that, dance has kept me sane in the sense that, our jobs are demanding, and if I've had a really challenging day at work, and I'm on the dance floor that night, there is no way that while I'm on the dance floor, I'm thinking about work. There is no way. Right. Because I have to think about what I'm doing.
That's true.
I have to focus on my partner. And so it's complete escape from the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because if I don't focus, I'm going to fall on my ass, right? It's just not going to work. So there's no doubt that dance has helped me through just keep it together. There's no question. And when I don't dance, if I go through phases where I don't dance, which is very, very rare, but like right now, for example, right? We can't dance.
You're going a little crazy without the dance?
I'm going a little crazy, yeah. Although one of my African dance instructors is actually doing the lessons on video, on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
So I haven't tried it yet, but apparently he's been doing it for 2 weeks. He's been very successful.
Wow.
So that's the West African traditional dance, which you dance alone, right? So that's fine. But we can't do Kizomba right now. I can't teach Kizomba on video because you need to have a partner.
Oh, got it.
So, social distancing and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? It's supposed to be like large groups too. So I know we're kind of all been like, don't want to talk to anybody, but one or two people. As long as you don't go crazy with it.
I know. I'm thinking about it. I'm being very, very strict.
We all are. I don't know why. We just are. And you're right. Like I walked by people and no one wants to. It's like
I know. And God forbid you cough. Like everybody looks at you like you have the plague. Oh my God.
I had this allergy cough, or I don't know. Maybe it was a real thing. I don't know. But you're right. That clears the room. That might be a new strategy. Go to a movie theater, just cough a couple times, and then everyone's just like, "Peace, I'm out."
Yeah, exactly. If you want the room to yourself, yeah. That's funny. But one last thought, you said something that was funny to me because my mother has said the same thing. So see, you sound like my mother. That's
a good thing, right? I think
it's a good thing. My mom is great.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very high energy and she's very witty.
Sound perfectly like your mother. Absolutely.
You made
Is she good looking too, and like very intelligent and?
Oh, my mother is incredibly good looking. She's and she's not muscular though.
What's her name?
She's not muscular like you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. What's her name? Her name is Rhea. Her name is Rhea.
Oh, a shout out to her. I'm sure she'll have to listen to your podcast interview.
I don't know about that.
Maybe not.
No, but you made a comment. You made a comment about how I went from something very kind of traditional like ballet all the way to or formal or all the way to African dance. And my mother said exactly the same thing. She's like, wow, you went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
You know, it's like ballet, that's the most like strict rules. You cannot like, you know, get out of the box, which is why I stopped doing it, by the way. Like very highly regulated dance to traditional African dance, which is the most extreme expression of freedom and individuality in movement.
Interesting. I'm going to definitely Google this, look up some YouTube videos afterward.
Yeah. And it's a great exercise too, by the way.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
You know, my daughter's trying to do the ballet lessons virtually right now. She's been doing that. And as a dance dad, I've seen the Nutcracker a few more times than I envisioned as a young man. Having never seen it. I've seen it, I think, 3 times now. Every year I think I'll see it. But
well, you know, and then there's like Swan Lake and Giselle and the
please, I can't wait for it because
beautiful.
it's a tradition.
But you know, I mean, come on, there's something to be said for tradition. I broke with ballet for many years. I was very anti-ballet for a long time. And then I went back into the classics, you know, just performances and watching and stuff and going to the theater. And I realized, I'm like, you know, sometimes you need the tutus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's good.
And the shoes, the point shoes
Yeah. And the nymphs and the princesses and, you know, the princes. And
yes. And the jacked dude in the Nutcracker who can lift everyone up. And you're like, that guy must work out.
And he does.
He does. Yeah. There's a couple guys that do the performance in New Hampshire here. Every year it's the same guy. And you're just like, yeah, they are just these like superheroes. And they're just picking up. Doesn't matter who you are. They're picking you up.
Well, you know, they're also 25 years old, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They could be. I have no idea how old they are.
No, they're young.
I'll be 25 too. I'll take it. I was thinking the other day, though, wouldn't it be cool to be like that dude? But I don't know. How
it would be cool. You should try sometime.
Yeah. Actually, I do want to learn. I've done some dancing lessons before where classical and Latin. I'm all about the Latin. Music,
I know,
reggaeton, bachata, like all of that. I love that kind of music.
Yeah.
But then also, I really have this hankering to like learn tap dancing. I don't know where this is coming.
Wow.
I feel like I really like maybe not sound of music. Singing in the rain. You know. Like,
okay. Yeah.
Like I just feel like I need to do this and annoy everyone in my family hearing me. But like I've looked up the shoes, and then it's just hard to find. You know, instruction as an adult, right? It's
no, I don't think so.
No, not in Chicago.
No,
but New Hampshire, I'd have to drive quite a bit to find some place.
Oh, maybe, yeah. But you'll find something.
Yeah, or someone just randomly at a bar. You do know how to? Can you teach me tap?
I don't know that many people who tap dance. Although I met someone a few weeks ago, and she's 70 years old, and she just started doing tap dancing. She's also a dancer. Like once a dancer, always a dancer. I'll be dancing until I die, like with a cane.
And your feet will still be moving after that.
Yeah, probably.
You'll be laying down and they'll still be moving.
Yeah. So it's never too late. But no, I haven't done tap dance, but I do love it. It's fun to watch. So you should try that.
Yeah. No, I gotta pick it up. You guys can get some fancy shoes and whatnot, and just
and the music is great. I mean, that's the thing. I love jazz and all that, right? Yeah. It's fun.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll have to send me a video of you tap dancing. I'm waiting.
Yeah. Okay. I'll work on it.
That's your homework.
That's my homework. I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, that'll be fun. Well, hey, where can people connect with you if they want to reach out, learn more from you, learn more about Mediafly, and what are some good URLs, social sites?
So I'm most active on LinkedIn, really. So look me up there, Isabelle Papoulias. And mediafly.com.
Okay.
To get information on Mediafly. Also, I highly recommend the evolvedselling.com. Again, that's evolvedselling.com. That's the Evolved Selling Institute. It's connected to Mediafly, but that's where we have all of our thought leadership and a lot of great content. And that's where we host our podcast with sales and marketing and business, luminaries, as I call them.
Okay.
With Tom Pizzello, our chief evangelist, our Mediafly. So I highly recommend you check out the Evolve Selling Institute.
Yeah.
Those are the main ones.
Okay. Awesome.
What am I missing?
I
What
went to
else?
evolveselling.com. I'll have to check that out. And yeah, see what we can learn from there.
So definitely reach out if you have any questions, or just to introduce yourself. I love meeting new folks on LinkedIn and CMOs or marketing leads, and learn what they're doing and get ideas. I mean, I love that. I love just now we're doing virtual coffee chats, but I love the meeting people, sort of like talking over coffee, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, for that reason. I mean, I definitely get ideas. I think that, never stop learning, for sure. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything about marketing, and I'm always learning new things from people. So hopefully folks have also learned a few things from me today, and some ideas of inspiration, and would love to continue that discussion.
Well, you know what? To be honest, I know they learned something because I did. I literally have 2 pages of notes over here.
Nice.
So I know I did. And so for those listening, if you learned something, we know this is true, share this episode with someone else. Get the word out. Share the lessons we talked about. What a CMO, what you should focus on, how to focus, look broad, have goals. There's so much stuff we talked about. Get this in other people's hands so they learn. Be a global citizen. Get this information out there. Isabelle, thank you so much for being here. This has been a blast.
Casey, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun, and we're all looking forward to your tap dancing career.
Yes, tap dancing on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. Let's make it happen. Awesome. And for everyone else out there listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.
All right. A big thank you to today's sponsors. Cheshire Impact, helping marketers and sales win, maximizing the use of Pardot and Salesforce. And a big thank you to Qualified.com, the #1 live chat and chatbot platform for Salesforce and Pardot. Remember the giveaway. If you have Salesforce Pardot and you want a free copy of my book, Marketing Automation Unleashed, then you go over to Qualified.com, engage in a chat, do a demo, and tell them that Casey sent you, and that book will be on its way to your door. All right. We'll see you all in the next one.